Welcome back! Today I'm going to be talking about how to solve dilution and evaporation problems. So I will be providing the equation, we'll go over some practice problems, and then I will give you some problems to check your progress on this topic. If you're new here, I'm Liah and I make science tutorials. On the left here we can see the equation to solve these problems. M1 times V1 equals M2 V2. So the M1 in this case means initial concentration times the initial volume equals the final molarity or concentration times the final volume. Okay, so 1 and 2 represent initial and final respectively. Okay, so let's test this out on the example given the information over here. So in this case, we have that M1 is going to be equal to 2. Okay, so we'll put a 2 here. And we're going to multiply it by V1, which is given as 100 ml. And then we're going to set this equal to M2 times V2. So in this case, V2 is given as 120 ml, and M2 is a question. That's the missing information we need to find. And so I will just write M2 here, so we know that we need to find it. Now with some algebra, we will get M2 by itself. Okay, so we will divide both sides by 120 ml to have it cancel on the right. And then we have that M2 is this whole division on the left. Doing this division, we get that M2 is equal to 1.67. And this will be in moles per liter, or molarity. So for these questions, as you can see, 3 parts of the equation will be provided, and you will have to find the 4th. Okay, so normally when they're in word problems, you will just have to pick out which one is M1, which one is V1, which one is V2, and which one is M2. And then you just plug in your numbers to the equation, and you do some algebra to find the missing value. Let's do another example. From the given information, was the solution evaporated or diluted? And how much water was added or removed? Alright, so our given information is in our little blue box, and we remember that the equation is as follows. Alright, so let's see if we can plug in these numbers. So far we have that M1 is 1 mole per liter. Then we have V1 is a question, so we'll just put it alone, right? Then we're going to set this equal to M2 times V2. So M2 is 0.75 m, and V2 is 50 ml. Right, so our goal at this point is to get V1 on one side and the numbers on the other side, so that V1 equals some value. Okay, so we're going to divide by 1 in both cases. Cancel out the 1 here. Alright, and then we have this equation that V1 will be equal to the equation here on the right. Doing this math, we get 37.5, and because this is going to be in volume, we're going to have ml. So here we have the question, was the solution evaporated or diluted? Just thinking about it, diluted means we had to add water, and evaporated means we removed water. Looking at the concentrations, diluted would mean we go from a higher to lower concentration, and evaporated would mean we went from a lower to higher concentration. Okay, so looking at the concentrations here, we went from an initial concentration of 1 mole per liter, and we went to 0.75 moles per liter. So that would be a decrease in concentration, and thus we could say that this is diluted. And we can also tell this from the volume. So initial volume was 37.5 ml, while the final volume was 50 ml. So this was an increase in volume, meaning that we added some water, and so that would tell us we had a dilution. Now let's see exactly how much water was added, okay, because we know this was a dilution, so we know that water had to be added. Okay, so what we're going to do is just find the difference, okay? So final volume minus the initial volume should give us how much water we added. This turns out to be 12.5 ml. So this is how much water was added. Let's try out another problem. So we're still going to use this same equation, M1 times V1 equals M2 V2. Alright, and so in this problem, we're going to be finding M1, that's the question. V1 is given as 30 ml, and we're going to set this to M2 times V2, so that would be 1 liter and 1.5 moles per liter. Now here's a bit of an issue. On the left, we have our volume in milliliters, and on the right, we have the volume in liters. So we cannot do a direct calculation right now. We either need to have all the volumes in milliliters or all the volumes in liters. They have to be in the same unit. So I'm just going to convert this 1 liter to 1000 ml. All right, so I will replace this value here so we can continue with our calculation. Okay, so always pay attention to what units you are given. All right, so you can do your calculation right. Okay, so 1000 ml. Now, our goal here is to find the initial molarity, so we're going to divide here by 30 ml to get M1 on the same side. Okay, these cancel out here, the ml values cancel out here, and we are left with this division, right? So in the end, we're going to get M1 equal to 50. And we can tell this is a dilution because we went from a higher to a lower concentration, and our volume went from lower higher. So we had to add something to dilute it. Okay, so in this case, we need to find the final volume. Okay, so we're going to plug in the rest of the values that we do have. So M1 is going to be 0.2, V1 is 25 ml, and we're going to set this equal to 0.6 for the final concentration times V2. Okay, so we need to find V2. We need to get it alone, so we're going to divide both sides by 0.6, and we will have V2 equal to the value here. V2, our final volume, will be equal to 8.33, and this will be in milliliters. So looking at our information, we can see that our concentration increased from 0.2 to 0.6, so this was an evaporation. And our volume, well, that went from 25 ml to 8.33 ml. That was a decrease in volume, meaning that this problem right here was giving us information for an evaporation. Now it's time to check your progress on this topic. So question number 1 is just asking for the formula for dilution and evaporation. And the second part is very similar to the problems we were doing. So you're going to be finding the missing information in this blue box. Then you're going to explain why it was either diluted or evaporated. And then you're going to find how much water was added or removed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you next time.